Hello and welcome to another episode of the We Are Change talk show. Thank you for joining me. As many of you know, health and wellness is a topic that is quite often discussed here on the show, so it's an absolute pleasure to introduce today's guest, kinesiologist and author of the book Holistic Happiness, Tanya De Haan. Thank you for appearing on the broadcast. How are you going there today?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me, Jeff. How are you?
You're more than welcome.
That's good.
So there's so much valuable health information we'll be getting into here on the show.
Yes, all holistic.
Yes. Now, you are well trained in a wide range of therapeutic programs that are designed to elevate people to a higher state of mental, emotional and physical wellness. What started you on this path and led you to writing the book?
Well, I guess my journey started way back when I was about 34 and I had my second child. And at the time I was actually really sick and I ended up with a disease that's called gastroparesis, and that was a stomach emptying disease which didn't allow me to digest my food properly. The valve wasn't working. The neurological pathways to the brain didn't allow those valves to open and empty the stomach. So I was in and out of hospital frequently. I put on a huge array of medication, stomach emptying medication, Metilium. I couldn't eat. I was on reflux drugs. The the doctors wanted me to go on a horrific drug which was set out by a doctor in America, and we had to sign all these papers that the side effect was heart attack. Which, you know, the options weren't looking good. This went on for over a year and a half, and I searched far and wide to sort of find out what was going on, what was happening, until I went to a play group where my kids went, the local play group, and someone suggested to me to go to a retreat called Living Valley, and I kind of wasn't very open to that sort of thing. I thought it was a bit wishy-washy, a bit woo-woo. I grew up with an academic family, I went to an academic school, so the woo-woo wasn't really something that I was open to. But I got so sick to the point where I was practically like 42 kilograms, or I was pretty skinny. Yeah, and so it wasn't looking very good. So I thought, I'm going to go, I'm going to book my flight. I got on the plane and I went to Living Valley, and it totally changed my life.
Wow, so it took quite a serious health complication for you to take action and assess all options that are out there. I applaud the fact that you didn't just take the pharmaceutical route and all the horrific side effects that come with that. You assessed all options, which is vital for people, isn't it?
Absolutely, and this worked for me because it was an education. It really opened up my eyes. They taught me about the body. They taught me lectures every night. They taught me about the right foods to eat for your type of body, for you. And I got off all the medication while I was there. I was starting to sleep better, and I came back feeling empowered. And it really made me start to think that we're not really taught or told how, you know, our body, it's like buying a car. We're not given a manual to how to use it. We're not taught to how our muscles work. And so I went and studied Bowen therapy because that was a huge part of my healing. It helped with the muscles. And then I got into the kinesiology because it dealt with the emotions as well, which was a very important part of the healing. And I haven't looked back. I have not had an episode of gastroparesis now for 10 years or more. I can say that I have not had reflux, I have not any issues, I live a pretty healthy life, we don't drink or smoke anymore, and yeah, so it's been a real eye-opener in that respect. So I wanted to share that with others.
Yes, thank you, and I'm very pleased to hear about the health benefits that you've managed to achieve. Some of these wellness retreats can do the world of good for people, can't they? And they are in a sense of solitude where they can just focus primarily on getting better, and some of the temptations are removed as well, and they can really just get the healing process really underway. So that's sensational that you've really had so much success there with your health. I had a guest on a few months ago that was suffering from a skin disorder known as psoriasis, and that was very sad, the story, and she claims to have achieved amazing results through kinesiology.
Yeah.
And you're familiar with this as well?
Yeah, so kinesiology would look at the emotional component to the skin. The skin is like the biggest organ in the body that protects us, so it's our protection. So you'd be looking into what are you protecting yourself from and what are the emotions that relate to the skin. So there's a whole component that you can learn about the skin, and it's, you know, the emotions of the skin as well, so it's really important.
Yes, alternative therapies and medicines, natural healing, that's where you can get the power from. And due to shows like this and doing speaking tours like you're doing, it really opens people's mind up to just how powerful this is and gives them more options, which is hope for the future, which is very important right now. And a lot of people are suffering, as you know, through grief, depression, loneliness and trauma. That all compounds. And especially during the last couple of years, the lockdowns, it's really taken its toll on so many people. And it's stated quantum transformational healing can assist and really help people. Can you expand on this further, please?
Yeah, so last year, so we had 2 years of lockdown in Melbourne. It was at the same Geelong, I've forgotten now. You had 2 years of lockdowns pretty much?
Yeah, it's been a really terrible and really difficult time for people, regional and metropolitan. Everybody's really been suffering.
Yeah, so it was more like the second year of my lockdown. It was a bit of a tough year, and I think it was because I was being drawn to the quantum work, and what I realised is that I started to see things a little bit different, like as freedom fighters, we were fighting for our freedoms and things like that. I sort of had a shift, which was the quantum shift, and I met by chance, this lovely woman, Julia, who knew a lot about the quantum, and she's done Reiki, she's taught Reiki, she's very much more older and wiser, and we just hit it off like we were meant to be. And I started to learn the quantum. And so quantum is, I talk more about the new energy on the planet at the moment. So we've been living in this duality for a long time. And the duality is where we've had to hide ourselves in this denseness and this darkness. And in this denseness, we weren't allowed to be our true selves because we didn't want to be discovered. So that dense energy was a hard energy to be in. It was almost like 10 steps forward, but 20 steps back. It was like, you know, every time you felt like you succeeded, you got knocked down or chopped off again. Yeah, it was a really hard density. It was the love was an agenda. So you do this, and if you do this, I'll do that, and then I'll love you. It was a win-lose energy. So now we're moving into this new energy on the planet, and the new energy is based on the crystalline planet, and we're becoming more crystalline. So without getting into that science, but this new energy is a much more supportive energy. It's a more finer energy. It's a finer vibration, and it suits old souls, sensitive souls.
So how would your services help somebody that is grief-stricken, suffering from trauma or ongoing depression? How would you say that helps them further?
Yeah, so I've been finding particularly, actually, I'm just talking about the lockdowns, but they've actually had quite a large impact, and I'm just starting to see the kind of impact that it's had on different people, particularly actually with the children. I think the long-term effect is going to start to show. Even the animals and the dogs are starting to show a little bit of signs of post-traumatic stress from the lockdowns. So mainly, I think what people feel is that they want to feel heard. And it's from both sides, like whether you're for and against something, they just want to feel heard, whether it's that you're a conspiracy theorist or you're not a conspiracy theorist. You just want you want to feel heard, but also the trauma is held in our bodies, it's held in our cells. So with this quantum breathing process, it helps release the trauma. So then when we go out, we're actually not triggering our emotions from that trauma constantly. So if you have stored grief that hasn't been processed correctly or properly, and then you go out into an experience, that grief gets triggered again, and then it gets exaggerated, and it takes a long time for you to get over that grief. Whereas if you had transformed it with the quantum, the grief would dissolve a lot quicker.
Yes, I believe it would too, and help people out. We see a lot of victims suffering from nightmares. The trauma has been really excessive. And yes, meditation, focusing on breathing. A lot of people attribute a lot to that, calming someone's self down and just trying to zone out from all of the drama, all of the hellish experiences, and even being one with nature, even perhaps going and sitting by a waterfall or something, listening to the sounds of the water trickling or birds, just trying to get into a peaceful environment as much as possible. That would help with the quantum healing as well, wouldn't it?
And definitely turning off the TV.
Yeah.
I think. But with the quantum process, we teach people to take their focus to the base, which is just the base of the spine, and this is where our emotions are stored. But at the base, we're opening up to the metaphoric field and allowing the opportunities and possibilities to come in that we may not have even considered. So the possibilities that we are out there in the field of all the ancestries, all the intelligence that we don't know about, we've never known about, and we haven't even thought or considered are out there. But if we just allow ourselves to come down to that base, open up that field, then new possibilities come in, and then in the quantum is where the real solution is.
That's brilliant, and I encourage all of the viewers to do their research and follow up on this. The benefits are enormous, and whenever the benefits really outweigh anything that's negative, that's when they should really be assessing that as a viable plan. Unlike some of the pharmaceuticals where some of the side effects are absolutely horrendous, and it's really not a viable solution or even logical for a lot of people. So yes, look into some of these positive therapeutic services as well as medicine as well that's natural. What else would you recommend people should look into if they're suffering?
I quite like journalism, but in a journalism with the script writing, we do a little bit of script writing. So sometimes we have some clients who want to meet a man, and they're only attracted to a certain type of man, a certain type of way a man would treat them. So what we get them to do is actually rewrite their script, and we get them to say the script for 30 days. We do that with abundance. We're finding a lot of women who had broken marriages and are struggling to, with their children to pay the bills. So we get them to rewrite their script. So the script can start like, today I choose to be happy. I love how everything works out so well for me. And so that becomes the start of the script. And then you can actually put in the description of what type of man you would like to meet. And you say that, and it actually just shifts the neurological pathways in your brain, but also the cells, because in the new quantum energy, the cells are listening, they have big ears, and they will deliver.
That's really good. And when people look at their own inventory, they do their own stock take and correct some of their own issues, then they become a more suitable candidate for somebody else, don't they, when they don't have some of these bad habits and self-destructive behaviour patterns that a lot of people engage in, sadly do, don't they? So yes, when people clear out their own self and get some of these benefits, then they can live a much more happier life.
And it starts with self first. So far we're running through this level 1, both courses, level 1 and level 2, teaching people to be facilitators. It goes over 5 weeks, and the reason why we've done it that way is because it's not about learning intellectually, it's about experiencing the new quantum. When you become the quantum body, everything just flows. It's a different type of flow that you're in. You can really tell when someone's in their quantum body. They're not in their head, they're not analysing, they're not making up stories, they're not in their ego, they're not saying you do this and then I'll do that, I'll love you if you love me. It's none of that competition. So then when they're in that quantum body, they have that experience, and it's completely different. So that's why we've spaced it over 5 weeks, although we're going to be starting to run some shorter workshops for people. So it's very exciting.
That's brilliant, and you have a very professional team that you're working with, and that makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I'm very blessed in my whole journey in life. I mean, I've had friends who are doctors, people who are into biology. So, and I'm a bit like you, the journalist, an inquisitive mind. My father-in-law's been a doctor. I've learned a lot from him. So I've been very blessed to have both worlds, because there is that element of what that natural therapies is very woo-woo, and it's not. It really isn't. It's actually something that's just been hidden from us. It's actually who we are. It's just been so put in a box that we think this is all our reality is, and it's not. Yeah.
Well said. That's a real eye-opening statement. And you mentioned journalism. That's what's really helped me out through a lot of the years. It's given me something to do. I'm very passionate about the script writing, the preparation.
Yeah.
It is very creative, and people, with their skill sets, when they can apply that. And some people, they might be interested in media. Others might be more artistic along the lines of painting or drawing. People should definitely follow their hobbies.
Yeah.
That can really keep them in a positive mind frame, can't it?
Exactly. And what I've also found in the duality, because we've kept ourselves hidden, it also includes all the things that we have used that have kept us hidden. So we've hidden ourselves in our relationships. We've hidden ourselves in all the things that we do each day to keep ourselves small, because we didn't want to be discovered. And now this new energy that is a supporting energy is bringing out these things that we've kept hidden. And it's like a new self-discovery. It's like we're little children discovering ourselves again. And there's going to be things that you will find, like you're a very talented journalist. And
Thank
what
you.
do, yeah.
And you're very talented too. I'm very impressed at all your achievements, and your resume is really remarkable.
I actually enjoy seeing people thrive and seeing their lives change. It's actually really rewarding, and if it's just here that I'm here to change one person's life, or two, or three, or maybe more, or the whole world. I'm not here to change the whole world, but it's then I've achieved what I've had to achieve from being here.
Yeah, brilliant, and it's very rewarding, isn't it? And a lot of natural medicines, people can look at even planting in their gardens. That can be very calming. Aloe vera and,
yeah, absolutely.
and different chives and different herbs as well.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when my kids were young, and I had to go and talk about nutrition and where broccoli came from, and a lot of children didn't know where broccoli came from. They thought it came from a supermarket. That it was grown, and then it comes from a seed, and planting the seed and how to sow. I think it's really important to have that connection, and a lot of the time we've lost a lot of that connection.
Yeah, we certainly have. Everybody expects it to be pre-packaged, all their foods from the supermarket, and it's very foreign when they see something growing from Mother Nature. They feel quite removed from everything, don't they? So yes, getting back to that, getting back to one with the earth.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, I've had a guest on, they said they achieved some benefits with flower essences.
Yeah,
as
so
well.
in kinesiology, I do use a lot of I like to use the bush flower essences, only because they resonate with me, because we live in Australia and I feel connected to the Australian earth. But they are very good. They carry a vibration, which is an energy, a very fine vibration, and so Waratah is a very good essence.
Oh, okay.
That comes up a lot. It's for the dark night of the soul, but it's just those days where you just can't get out of bed and you're so tired.
Right.
Really, have you ever had one of those days?
I'm sure everybody has, haven't they,
Well,
at some point?
Waratah is a really good bush flower essence for that kind of moment, and you just have to take a couple of drops. And
Yes.
in a few days, you start to feel a lot better.
Okay, yes, a couple of drops under the tongue, even spray it like a bit of an air freshener. Some people even look at all of these burning sage to clear out some of the bad energy as well. People have merit along with that, and aromatherapy as well, people have had benefits from, haven't they?
Yeah, so we use the essential oils. I used to run the essential oil classes, and each essential oil carries an emotion. Same like the bush flower essence, there's an emotion. You look at the flower, like you look at the Waratah, and it looks like a warrior. It brings out the warrior in you when you're having your dark moment. So there's actually a symbolic connection to the way flowers and plants looks, particularly like with orange. It has a rind, it has a protective, but when you open it, it's got that sweet orange smell, and that's the abundance of joy that comes out from the rind and things like that. So there's a very symbolic, metaphoric. So in kinesiology, we do look at the metaphors for things. So if you're walking down the street, you see a feather, you think, oh, an angel is thinking
Yeah.
about me, or you just think about there's a lot of metaphors that pop up in your day-to-day life, just to let you know that the quantum is watching you, and you are supported. You are definitely supported. So even if you think mum and dad, your brother and sister, or you don't have family or friends, you are definitely supported on a higher realm, definitely.
Right. Now, if someone didn't require as much intensive therapy, would you recommend your clients perhaps attend your clinic once a week, or would they require more?
In this day and age, I reckon once a week. I have clients that come back every week just for maintenance. It's just a great way to zone out. I have an approach with my clients where I like to empower them. In any session, I choose not to tell them what they do. They are their own creators of their own life. They choose what they want to choose. If you go to a practitioner that will tell you what you should do, that's not where I come from. I ask people what is it that they would like to create for themselves. It's really important to try and empower people, because I'm not the healer. You are your own healer. You do that with your free will by making the choice. So
Very much so. It's an ongoing process. It's not just a matter of a couple of sessions and then I'm fixed now, I can just go back to living my old lifestyle again. It's something that requires constant effort. And
right.
Self-discipline is very important too, isn't it?
It is, and with this quantum breathing technique that we're teaching in the Transformational Centre, which is the most important component, which is the breathing, we're teaching people this breathing technique. So those who do suffer from anxiety have this technique. They can do it at home. They do it every day, and the anxiety becomes less and less and less as the week as the week goes on. So it's helping people because they actually have a tool that if they can't get to an appointment, or they just don't have the money or the finances to see someone this week, they have that technique that they can fall on.
And you even put up a couple of videos on a YouTube channel, and you've done radio interviews as well in the past, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I've done quite a few radio interviews. Yeah, that was before lockdown. So quite a lot of things stopped at lockdown. So
very impressive. So talk a little bit about some of the appearances that you've had on radio stations and how that's been received by the listeners.
So I did the radio interview. I was putting out a magazine called, it was Beach Road magazine. It's a wellness kind of magazine, but it was more directed at people in the community who are doing great things and kind of hiding just a little bit below the surface and not getting the recognition that I thought that they were deserving. So we put together a magazine that kind of exposed those really good people that have a lot of talent and that really need to be told. The world needs to know what they're up to. So it's
fantastic when people get the attention and recognition that they deserve, when they've made a tremendous dedication, research, and you can see that they're doing the world of good. And being able to provide that, it's very empowering, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, because there's so much talent out there. And like I said, in this old duality, it always felt like it was that grind. Every time we shine our light, that we had to get the head chopped off, we were put down, and, now it's completely different. So, that's the exciting part of what's going on in the world, I guess.
I think so too, and a lot of good products can be found at one's local health food store, can't they?
Yeah, I like to hang out at the health food store.
Yeah.
So you'll find me there. You might find me at some local markets. I like to go to the Melbourne markets. I do like to grow, should I say, my own fruit and veg in the past. I don't know if there's a new bill coming in.
Right, yes.
So we don't grow fruit and veg anymore.
Yes, it's a very tyrannical system when they try and put restrictions on what people can grow in their backyard to try and heal themselves. That's the system that we're living under, which is, it's very, very diabolical. So, take advantage of one's local health food stores, some of the products. It might be a little bit more expensive, but definitely well worth it in the long run, isn't it?
I absolutely think so, and you only need a little bit of the nutrients. If you have just one apple that's containing a whole lot of nutrients compared to like having 8 apples in a juice, those little nutrients will go a long way.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we overeat, according to TV. We need to eat more of, those kind of brands that don't always serve us.
Yes, this is a very important topic too. People overeating, gluttony is a very big problem with people. And when it comes to healthy food, you can actually eat a lot more of it, and it's more filling as well. And you won't have to worry about gaining weight or anything like that.
That's right.
When you're eating healthy and fruit and vegetables in rich numbers,
That's
isn't
right.
it?
What's your favourite vegetable?
Vegetables. I noticed as I got older, I started eating more of them, and I started eating beans and peas.
Brussels sprouts?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of them, but I like a lot of pumpkin and stuff like that. But I noticed my taste buds changed as I got older. As a child, I'd always push that to the side of the plate and I just wouldn't eat it.
Throw it on the floor.
Yeah.
Good on you.
But I think sometimes as you get older, your body cries out for some of these nutrients, so that's why it tastes okay, because it's what you want.
Yeah.
I think that's how that works. Would you agree?
Yeah, good point. I think so. And you're probably becoming a little bit more wiser. And also you've got to experiment with life, and sometimes you have to learn, I don't say it's the hard way, but I mean, I'm very blessed. My mum was a fit fanatic. Like, she played netball for Victoria, and so she would eat apples. She would say, apple a day keeps the doctor away. And she would just be healthy as, she never gets sick. They don't drink, and, she's just amazing. She's just, we call her super grandma, because she's just like fit as a fiddle, yeah.
That's brilliant, and a lot of the senior citizens, they really know the healing benefits that a lot of food can have, and getting back to the old home style cooking, that's important too, isn't it?
Absolutely. With the quantum, we do an elimination of allergies, which has become quite successful. And we also work a little bit with allergies. My son is an anaphylactic, but he to peanuts, which is quite a strong reaction. But I've done a lot of energetic work, and he doesn't seem to have the same reaction to peanuts as he has in the past. I won't say it's completely gone, because that would be irresponsible.
So discussing the new energy on the planet, how does that relate to quantum?
Well, we've been living in the duality of the old energy for a long time, and this energy is much of a win-lose energy. The duality was an energy where we felt like we had to hide ourselves in the density because we didn't want to be discovered. So every time we tried to shine our light, we got chopped down. So that energy was like an energy where you'd have 3 steps forward and 10 steps back. It's no matter how hard you try, you'll never felt like you were good enough, or you can never achieve what you wanted to achieve, particularly in the workforce, but for women. And that energy kept us in a vicious cycle of never getting anywhere. I don't know if you've ever felt like that.
I'm sure everybody has. Sometimes it can feel like 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah.
Can't it?
Yeah, so you gave up trying. Well, in 2012, the new energy started coming to the planet, and that was to do with the crystalline of the planet, and we're becoming more crystalline as we become more connected to the planet. This new energy no longer supports the corruption and the dark density of the world. And because of that, the corruption has to be brought to the surface as we shine the light on that corruption. And for that to be brought to the surface, it now has to be transformed. And this is why at the moment we're seeing so much of the corruption coming through. So we think that there's so much chaos, but what we're seeing is actually almost like a renovation of the planet, where we've pulled out all the bits and we're rebuilding it back together in this new energy. So this new energy is a lot more of a supportive energy. It's a much more of a lighter energy. It resonates with old souls on the planet, more sensitive souls, and it's a more benevolent integrity and loving. It's a real kind of love where we actually, is a win-win energy. We don't have to fight for our love. Love doesn't come with an agenda. But saying that, even though this new energy is coming in through the planet, it's creating a lot of confusion, because we're so used to the resistance to the fight of this all. We've lived in the duality for so long that we've kind of become quite comfortable in that. And so what we're doing with the Quantum Transformation Centre is we're helping people ease through the new energy, because what it's doing, it's actually bringing up a lot of things that have been hidden, and that can be quite painful. So we've put together a series of levels that helps people with the remembrance of themselves, of who you were before you actually were hidden in that density. And now that the new energy is coming through, the quantum is the new way now. When we're actually becoming more quantum, we're becoming more a quantum body, which means that things are instantaneous. We can ask for what we want really quickly. We have to be very careful what we think, because what we think becomes our truth very quickly. And yeah, so it's actually quite an exciting time. It's just that there is so much hidden in the quantum and this new energy that we don't know about, because it was hidden in the duality, that we have so much yet to discover. So it's exciting.
It is, and it's very much soul satisfying too, being able to provide such spiritual services, seeing people heal. Would it be an accurate comparison to describe it along the lines of Reiki, where they would channel in a universal chi and use that to clear out people's chakras and auras? Is it along those lines?
Well, because we're working in the new energy, what we thought was healing is completely different, because we were healing in the duality, what we thought was right. But what in the new energy, we actually know nothing, because we actually thought we knew everything, but we knew nothing. So this is why with the remembrance of self, it's about relearning, because we never knew who we are, because we had to fight to shine our light and then got shot down again. So we could never be our true selves. So a lot of people finding who are doing this quantum work is that new gifts are resurfacing that they didn't even know that were there. They're channeling their creative, artistic gifts that they never even knew existed, because they've been hiding them in the duality for fear that if they came out, that they'd be shot down. So
very well said. Now, is this a practice that would benefit all ages?
Absolutely. So the Quantum Centre is focused on a breathing technique that we teach people, and this helps people stay in their centre, and it clears out and transforms lots of emotions very quickly. So in the old energy, we would clear out a system, like with kinesiology, we'd clean out belief, but then we'd go home and we go and develop a new belief. Well, this clears emotions from the ancestry line from eons back very quickly, and so it gets very fast results. And then you're seeing people within a month actually now coming out of themselves, doing things. They're starting to feel the love, the resistance is going, and they're a lot more happier. And these tools are helping people get through this situation, because this new energy will be and it's going to move very fast. It's getting faster. The energy is changing all the time. So
that's beautiful and very positive as well.
Yeah.
Now, a practice I'm not familiar with that you offer on your website, Access Facelift, which it said people have reported changes in the following: light and luminosity of the face, elasticity of the skin, and clarity of the eyes. I've seen the before and after photos, and yes, it is remarkable. You can see they lose the bags under their eyes, and you can see they have a healthy glow to them, don't they? Which is beautiful.
Yeah, you can turn off some time there off your face. So access consciousness is what I have studied, and it's about a lot of it's got to do with about the judgments that we make about ourselves. So again, in that old duality, for someone to be right, we had to wrong someone else, or for us to be wrong, someone else had to be right. So every time you get up in the morning and you look into the mirror, you look at yourself and you make a judgment of your face, and you'll go, oh, look at me, oh, don't I look horrible today, oh, look at those, I look terrible. We don't realize that our body has a consciousness. So we have the intellect, we have the higher consciousness, we also have our body has a consciousness, everything has a consciousness. So it's always listening, and in this new energy, the quantum is listening to everything. It has very big ears, and so what you're saying to your body, it's hearing. And if you say to your face every morning, look how ugly you look today, the body doesn't know. It just says, okay, you look ugly today. So what the Access Consciousness does is take away all those projections that you're making about yourself, all the considerations, all the points of views that you have ever made about you and your face, and it just removes them, and then all your wrinkles go, your eyes, your face lights up, and yeah, it changes your life. So it's good.
Brilliant. So a lot of it is psychological as well, would you say? Positive affirmations,
Yeah.
reaffirming some really good attributes about oneself to really bring up their self-esteem as well,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, so the moment we're born, from pretty much the first day we're born, we're actually taught to judge ourselves. We go into judgment about who we are. So it's like when the moment you crawl on the floor, your parents are saying to you, oh, good boy or good girl, oh, look at you, bad boy, good bad. By 3, you should be walking. By 4, you should be talking. By this, you should be doing this. And if you don't achieve those things, then you go into self-judgment and you say, there's something wrong with me. And that's where we start to close down. But when you see a child who's playing, they're not in self-judgment. In every moment they're creating. In every moment and so that's what quantum is, creation itself. And so when we come out of the judgment of ourselves and we know that we're whole already and we're born whole, and that all those projections and all the points of view that have been made about you were never yours. 99% of the things that you have heard, the thoughts, the feelings and your emotions actually never belong to you. They're actually somebody else's. And when you start to get that, your life changes. It really does.
That can be very reassuring for people as well. Some feel like they're living underneath a dark cloud and there's no hope to break free. But using therapies like that and these holistic practices, as well as incorporating exercise and diet, the results can be really outstanding. And it's a gradual thing. You can't expect miracles overnight though, can you?
I have seen what people describe as miracles. I mean, I've had Bowen clients that have come in with a back that has not been able to become better, and within 10 days it's gone. And, everyone's individual. It's all different. Everyone's journey is different. So, we don't make cures. And I truly believe, I'm not a healer. I'm just empowering people that they already know themselves, what they already know. We can heal our bodies, and the quantum is we actually become our own healer, because quantum is about recalibrating the cells, and we have 7 trillion cells, and your cells are listening all the time, and it's what you're telling your cells that help liberate you. It's a choice in every moment, and it's either going to contribute to your life or it's going to subtract away from your life. So
absolutely, and that's very valuable information for the viewers as well. The food that we eat makes up the cells of our body, doesn't it? And if you're bombarding yourself with genetically modified organisms, you're drinking copious amounts, litres of soda, and that's going to have a negative impact. And that can have really bad consequences on people, can't it? But if they incorporate the right diet, they can create the perfect conditions where the body can heal itself. And that's what we're aiming for, aren't we?
Yeah, given the right environment and the 8 laws of health, which I've talked about in the book, that Living Valley explained, the 8 laws of health that keep you in balance. Because otherwise, if we're not in balance, we swing to either side of the pendulum, and we want to bring that pendulum back into balance, which is pretty much what we're doing with the planet, with all this corruption and all these other things that are going on that we're starting to see come to the surface. We need, to bring that planet back into balance, and it's going to take time, and it's going to be pretty tough, and that's why we put together this centre, particularly for women. We're seeing women, so like I use natural health products like Body of Nature, which is a Tasmanian product developed by a girl who makes her own health products and skincare products, and it's amazing. And the women have been suppressed for so long. It's been a male-dominant society where we've had to be subservient to earn the money. And you look at the world, the males control the money, they control the banks, they control, the governments, really. And for any woman to step in their power, and the women are the wise ones. They're the shamans, they're the healers, they're the nurturers. So they're going to start stepping up. And so we want to really support those, and also the men. The men are really wanting to step up now and become more of who they are, rather than the masculine that they think they should have been.
Yeah, that's a really good description of the state of affairs. Now, for some people, they have mild health complications. They can look at attending one of the clinics like yours. For someone that is in a more serious condition, they would look at a retreat. That's the advice that you would impart on people?
Yeah, of course you would always consult a doctor first if you had any, health underlying issues. But if you want support to go through your healing journey, I mean, I've found that people who had been put on medication have come for kinesiology and some quantum healing, and they haven't actually had to take the medication. Now, I had an incident where I actually hurt my back really badly and I couldn't move or get out of bed, and I was so sick. I was taking the anti-inflammatory drugs and they were making me really sick, and they were actually making me really nauseous as well. It was horrible. So I actually had to go and see my own Bowen therapist, who was a kinesiologist, and we just got to the bottom of the emotions, gave me a few tablets. The next day the pain went away. I mean, I couldn't really use my back, but it was just amazing how, I went to the doctor just said, take these pills and go away. And it's the same with sort of like the talk therapy. In quantum, we focus more on transformation, which is transforming the emotion into, when we transform it into something else that's for our highest good, or it transcends, which it leaves the body. So in the old therapies, we sit there and we talk about our problem, we go over our problem, and all it's doing is validating our story as the victim over and over and over again. So we never get out of that perpetual cycle, which is the old energy, the old density. So when we come out of the story, so in quantum we don't tell stories. Stories are for the ego, to justify the ego that our life is horrible, we're doing terrible, this person did this to me. And so when we come out of the story, we are actually to help empower people to transform the emotion, to transform their story into something better. So that's why it's really important with the quantum to create new stories.
Absolutely, and I think it can have a very positive impact worldwide, because when people start feeling better about themselves, they start treating their friends and family better as well, don't they? And when people can see the extraordinary benefits that one can achieve, they'll start asking questions. Oh, you're looking better. Have you changed something? And then,
absolutely.
Yeah, and then when they hear about some of the health benefits that they've achieved, more people start to look into it. And that gives the whole system more merit, doesn't it? The alternative therapies and that avenue. It gives it a much more credibility.
Yeah, and I really truly believe is what we radiate within us is what is really important, because that is who we are. And so that is why we created the remembrance of self, and from the remembrance of self you can know who you are, because we don't know who we were, because we've been hiding in this density. We think we know who we are because the ego told we who we should be, but once we remember who we are, it's actually coming home. And it just touches my heart to see how it's changed so many people's lives for the better. It really is beautiful. Just one person at a time, and it just emanates out into everybody else's lives. It's really beautiful, and I really love that we're doing that. And then from there, we're actually training up facilitators. So we've got some lovely people coming through, like Claire and Georgie and a girl called Karen, and they're all working really hard to facilitate so they can actually teach people how to come into this new energy with ease, because it's it is going to be an exciting future.
That's really wonderful, and the services that you're providing. Always fascinated to hear about people's development, what they've achieved, and it's always good to keep an open mind when it comes to some of these therapies. And sadly, it took a lot of people to hit rock bottom with some of their medications that they've been taking, some of their procedures, and then that forced them to look at some of these alternatives, didn't it?
Yeah, and I try not to see it as alternative. I kind of think it's more of a supportive way. I mean, we're holistic. We're not just a robot that goes into the doctor and you go, oh, you're number 34, so you need that. I mean, my father-in-law is a doctor, and he's a really brilliant doctor, because he would say to me, look at you, you're this size, you've been given this dose of medication, and you only need about that much, and that's all you need. So we're not looking at people holistically. We're not going to test people's blood. We're not seeing if people can touch their toes. And sometimes people just want someone to talk to, especially in these times.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
And would you recommend people look at natural products like shampoo and conditioners, perhaps hemp products? You might have seen recently there's been a lot of sunscreen that's been recalled because of some of the harmful chemicals. We really have to get back to nature, don't we?
Absolutely. And that's why I love Body of Nature, because they do a lot of natural products like that. And it's definitely because, as mentioned, how the skin is our organ, our biggest organ. And I won't give you an anatomy class, but it absorbs everything. It absorbs all the emotions of others. I mean, when I'm sitting here, your body's got a consciousness of its own, and it's actually absorbing and it's picking up on the emotions that I'm picking up. And then it's deciphering whether that's his emotions or, your own emotions. So our skin absorbs everything. And that's why I did a big haul over the house. I cleaned out all the cupboards, and I washed with everything natural. And I think that's the key to longevity. When I went to Living Valley, I remember he said, we're not supposed to die of diseasement. We're supposed to just lay down and go to sleep. And that was basically it, And I do believe we can live a lot longer, healthier than we do today, even though we have all these quick fixes. It's not always the easiest way. So sometimes just walking up the stairs, walking, away from your car a little bit and just getting that extra bit of oxygen into your blood cells, your cells love you for it.
Absolutely, and even just small different changes and adjustments. Instead of doing so much driving, perhaps walk to your local store. Perhaps, try and incorporate a lot more exercise into people's daily routine. If you look at some of the photographs from like the 70s, people seem a lot more in better shape, they seem a lot more fitter, but as they increase the artificial colourings and flavourings, preservatives, and all the processed foods, the change has been dramatic, and we need to reverse that and get back to health, don't we, Tanya?
That's for sure.
So, Tanya, I'm very impressed with your book, Holistic Happiness. Can you please tell the viewers about some of the success you've achieved with this?
The success with my book is the title. It's actually amazing to just see your title in bookstores. I worked in publishing for some of the large publishing groups for quite some time, and it was always nice to see your front cover on the newsstands. But seeing Holistic Happiness come to life, because it started off with a little manifestation and it grew into a book, and it's actually my legacy. It's my legacy to my children, and it's my story. And that's the most important thing about writing a book. You're sharing your story. And so it's more of like a personal success for me. Of course, it's international and it's on all bookstores and everything like that, which is a great achievement. But it's also being able to, like, every day I had to discipline myself to write a little bit about my book. It took probably 2 years. And you're reliving that part of your life, and you're reflecting back, how much I've achieved, and I'm actually quite proud of some of the things I've achieved and things like that. So it's actually really rewarding.
Absolutely. So much effort, time, research, and everything that you've dedicated to this. So when you see people that have read it and the benefits they've got, the feedback, it must be very heartwarming for you.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely about discovering the secrets of living in harmony. So, yeah, we need a lot more harmony in our lives, I think, especially internal harmony, so we can radiate that to the world.
Most certainly.
Just keep being happy in every moment. If something happens and you drop a cup of hot tea on the ground, and you just say, I choose happiness right now.
Absolutely. And what other plans and projects do you have coming up in the future?
Oh, well, actually, on my way here, I was thinking about I should write a book about the quantum and what that new energy is all about with Julia. But also, I'm going to bug you about a documentary, because I think that there's a lot of ideas that I've got, floating around in my creative mind. So, I've got another book on the horizon, I reckon, and definitely a bigger vision with teaching the quantum.
It's fantastic, and yes, it's very valuable to be providing such a wonderful service, and I encourage everybody to look into this. The books are available on your website, and the website is very professional, and it's all laid out really well from the types of services that you provide. It explains it in great detail, and some of the prices as well. It's all very clear for people, and that would take away any skepticism or anything like that. The way it's very well written, you really educate people on what's available through your clinic, don't you?
Yeah, I'm very lucky because I have the sort of academics, but I also have the creative side, and it's such a nice flow to go in and out. You know, it's the acquisitive mind and it's the creative mind, and it's really nice. It's a nice place to play in, nice space.
Brilliant. And it'd be good to see you do a documentary and cover this in detail. A lot of people like to sit back and watch and take that all in, share and subscribe to channels.
Yep,
and
definitely.
Yeah, that's how it all comes into existence, doesn't it?
Yep, definitely. And you've got that creative flow, haven't you? Both sides where you can create and flow. You've got your journalism.
Yeah, it's a real joy to be able to do this work and see it benefit so many. So if people want to look into your work further, take advantage of some of the services that you have to offer, how would they go about doing that?
Well, you can start off, it's actually here, www.Tanya De Haan, and you'll pop that in the notes.
I most certainly will. All the information will be in the description.
We've got the Becoming Quantum website, which is an amazing website to look on. That explains a little bit about the new energy if you want to read into that more. So that basically those two websites are the main websites. Yeah.
Well, this has been a very delightful and rewarding broadcast. I hope I see a lot of people take pride in some of the results that they get from your services, and I wish you continued success in the future. Thank you very much for coming on the broadcast once again.
Thank you.